just hit the down button.
All right. All right, when we talk about chasing greatness, you know, everybody in this room here, the one thing I want to start with is we're all sitting in this room, all right? Who's interested in taking the business up to the next level? Raise your hand if you're interested in taking the business up to the next level. All right, so now when I talk about how this stuff that goes on with these different individuals, and I pace a lot back and forth. I'm sorry about that. It's just the way I am. I kind of have the mentality of a shark. If I stop, I'm gonna fucking die. So I need to kind of keep moving. I need to kind of keep moving because one day I'm not gonna be able to move. So I need to kind of keep going. But here's the different concept of how, guys, I want everybody in here to start thinking now. And when I deal with an individual, I deal with I don't deal with the 1%. Everybody comes in and talk about, oh, we deal with the high 1% of individuals. I deal with the 0.00001%. You know, the people that win championships over and over again. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady, Roger Federer, Serena Williams, Wayne Gretzky, the individuals in sports that do stuff Derek Jeter, to do stuff over and over and over again. If you put them all in a room and you were literally put a blindfold and the information of how they got to where they got to and how they stayed on top and how they continue to challenge themselves, it's the same story. It's the same freaking story. It's wonderful how, you know, how people get to a certain level and they get to success. And all of a sudden, they become these real good people. You know, oh yeah, don't step on people's toes, and you know, you need to be kind to people. You need to do that. Except 20 years when they were climbing the ladder, they weren't stepping on people's toes. They were fucking cutting throats. But they don't want to hear it. But you know, now all of a sudden, once you become successful, that's not a good story to tell anymore because it doesn't make you feel good. These individuals are the same no matter what they talk about, who they are. It's the same competitive fire over and over again. It's the same thing. It just doesn't stop. But when we talk about the chasing greatness concept, and I was talking about the chess pass, we have individuals in here, and when I said, are you guys interested in taking your business to the next level? If you guys are only interested, you're never going to succeed, because being interested in something is a fucking hobby. Because if you're just interested in something, you give yourself an out. You don't think, you know, Michael Jordan wasn't just interested in being the best basketball player out there. Okay, Jeff Bezos isn't interested of Amazon just being another company. You got to be fucking obsessed. You got to be obsessed. But see, we're taught in society, oh, obsession is a bad word. Obsession is not a bad word. All right? In order to be the greatest, to be the best at what you want to do, in order to take over this space that you guys want to take over, being interested just isn't good enough. Honestly, if interested is all this you're doing at this table, you need to get up off this room, pay for your fucking meal, and get the fuck out of here. All right? Because interested is not going to get you where you guys want to be. You got to be obsessed. You got to be freaking obsessed with changing the culture, changing the concepts, changing people's thoughts. Like I said, interested is only a hobby because it gives you an out. It gives you an out. Now, you talk to somebody and they give you this concept. And what do you say when you don't want to hurt the person's feelings? Oh, it's interesting. It's interesting. Really, you want to say, fuck, you just wasted 30 minutes of my time. I just want to, you can't be interested. You got to be freaking obsessed with it. It's got to be an obsession. It's got to be something. It can't be all time consuming, but when you're in that moment, it is all time consuming. It's what you think about all the time. It's what you do all the time. It's what you can't be afraid to talk to people about what you do, how you can change a concept, how this will change, make their environment better, how you can give them a better life, how it can increase their productivity. You know why we have a lot of individuals here? I'm assuming there's a lot of people in here that have a lot to do with sales forces and so forth. And the reason people are having such a hard time communicating with other individuals now is because of frickin' technology. If you look at it, you got individuals, they can text all day, all right? But when they have to talk to somebody face to face, they have the hardest time doing it. because they hide behind this thing. They hide behind this thing all day. It's the same individuals that walk down the street. They got the two earbuds on, hanging in their ear, hanging in their thing. They're down here. They're oblivious to everything that's going on around them. It's the same individuals that use all the apps for their dating sites. You know, people that are on Tinder, they're on Bumble, and all this other stuff. They're great behind the concept, behind that thing, but when they actually have to meet somebody and they have to go out and talk to somebody and actually greet, they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do it anymore. They don't know how to introduce anybody. They don't know how to shake somebody's hand. They don't know how to look at somebody in the eye. I have so many people that come in and they introduce yourself, and when they shake their hand, they're like, oh, what the fuck is this? You're not milking a fucking cow. Shake somebody's hand. Look them in the look them in the eye. Say, you know, hey, that's a one moment you get to have somebody. I want to see somebody with some confidence. Everybody in here is extremely well dressed. You know, you guys look good and all that other stuff. That's a major step in being able to take what you have. But once you have that concept, that's a level of confidence that you have to take yourself to and be able to introduce. So when you walk in and you talk about your concept and you talk about what you're going to do, that first 5 seconds when you come in, you got to walk into that room and say, I own this fucking space and I'm the baddest motherfucker here. Okay? Seriously, because that's going to be whether you're going to own that space, own that deal or not. You know, the minute you shake that person's hand or you sit there and start, you know whether you're going to be able to own that space. You're going to be able to tell that person whether they change that concept, or you're sitting there and you're going to be like, I'm about to give this fucking half-hour talk and I know this thing ain't going to go anywhere. You already know. You already know. So when you walk in, just, you know, when people come in, oh, I'm a little bit nervous. You know, well, how the fuck do you think they feel? How do you think they feel? So it's your job to make them comfortable or make them as uncomfortable as you need them to be to get your concept, to get your thoughts across. And those are the concepts when I talk about you have to be obsessed. Those little details, everything matters. The smallest little detail, tell them I'm not here, take a message from me. All right, I'm just the smallest little details matter. What you think is insignificant and not important could be the most important thing to somebody else. It could be the most important thing to somebody else. Pay attention to all that stuff. So when I'm talking about here about chasing greatness, now let's get back to that. Here's a problem with chasing greatness, right? A lot of individuals on your team, obviously if you're sitting in this room, I'm assuming that this doesn't apply to you, but there's a lot of individuals and listen, I can't speak for that. That'll be this gentleman here. He can bring that up later. But a lot of individuals that are chasing greatness, you haven't fucking caught average. How in the hell are you going to chase and catch greatness if you haven't caught average? You got to master average first. Once you've mastered average first, and that's what I'm talking about Michael when he was talking about the chest pass. He mastered average first. Kobe Bryant mastered average first by being able to shoot those by able to hit free throws. So you got to be able to master average. Once you've mastered average, then you catch and master good. Then you can start chasing greatness. You got to have that foundation. You got to have that foundation principle always set up. No matter, listen, you can have the most beautiful house in the world. All right, you can have the most expensive art in there. You can have all this stuff in there, the furniture and all that stuff. If the foundation is terrible, all that stuff is eventually going to crumble. So how strong is the foundation of this company? All right, is it something that when things aren't going right, and there's going to be some points where things aren't going to go right, but if your foundation is strong, you can always go back to the basic principles. You can always go back to the foundation. You can always go back to the fundamentals and get things back on track. My athletes always said, both Michael, Kobe, and even like an individual like Tom Brady, They were like, if I miss my first 10 shots and I don't take the 11th shot anymore, he goes, I've lost my confidence. I've lost my confidence. And if I lose my confidence, that means my foundation is not in place. I'd rather go 0 for 30 because then I know my foundation, my fundamental principles are still in place. I know I still have my confidence. But if I stop shooting when I go 0 for 10, or if I'm throwing a football and I haven't completed my last six throws, and now I start running plays, now I've lost my confidence. I've lost my confidence. I don't know where my foundation is anymore. And when you have that, that's when things start to crack. And that's when, in order for that not to happen, your mastery of average and your mastery of good has to be there. And how do you do that? How do you do that? And this is very important for this company and any company out there. You have to be able to master 3 things that are very, very important. All right? What is the concept? You have to master the concept. Everybody in this room, whoever their employees are, and even for yourself, what is a concept? What is the concept you're trying to convey? And in order for you to chase greatness, there has to be mastery in there. You have to master whatever that concept is. And whatever that concept is, you have to master how to apply it, what the application is. How is it done? Your greatest organizations out there, you have different individuals that might have different styles. People come to work, they can dress a certain way, you can drive a certain car. You know, you have some individuals who are extremely wealthy and they drive the most expensive vehicle out there. You got other individuals who are extremely wealthy and they drive the cheapest fucking car out there. All right. Now that's different styles of people. Some like designer suits, some people don't. Some like high-end shoes, it doesn't. Different styles, which is fine. But the identity of the organization, the identity of your team has to be the same. The identity of the team has to be the same. Your most successful organizations in professional sports, the ones that win over and over and over again, all right, they may not always win the championship, but they're always in the fucking race, all right, because the identity never changes. The identity of the San Antonio Spurs never changes. The identity of the Golden State Warriors in the last few years, even a couple of days ago, they got a little issue to deal with. All right, you got the identity of the of the New England Patriots. No matter what players they come in, the styles may change, but the identity does not change. So you need to find out what the identity. And sit down and say, hey, if you can have your own different style, but when you come in and we sit down in this boardroom or you come to work, we're no longer about an individual style. It's about the team identity. It's about the identity of the concept. This is what it's about. It's about the identity of the application. Then after you know what that is, you have to be able to master the execution. You got to be able to master the execution. And the mastery of the execution doesn't happen when you're giving the deal or in meetings. It's done years before that. It's done in practice way before that. It's being able to know that, hey, I've done the homework, I've done the research, I've done whatever is necessary, that I've mastered this concept, I've mastered this application, I've mastered this execution. You know, when guys hit game-winning shots, when they throw the touchdowns and they hit that, the short putt in golf, whatever it is, that doesn't happen that moment. It's happened way before that. It's happened way before that. The greatest of greats, to them, thinking is actually a distraction. Because if you're thinking in that moment, you're not in that moment. But if you've mastered the execution, you don't have to think. You don't have to think. You already know what to do. But it takes years and years of preparation to get to the don't think stage. When you watch sports all the time, they say, oh, that athlete is overthinking. he's overthinking or she's overthinking. So what do they tell them? Don't think. What's the first thing you do? You start fucking thinking. All right? But it's the ability for those athletes and those individuals that they've mastered all those things so well. They've mastered the concept. They've mastered the application. They've mastered the execution. Well, they don't have to think. You know, you have certain individuals when you're trying to close a certain deal. There's certain people that you're going to be sent to certain meetings because you know they have the ability to close these deals, and others you're just not. You're just not. And those are the individuals that you trust because they've mastered the execution. And it's got nothing to do with age. I hate this concept. Oh, he's young. The fuck does that mean? He's young. If you're young, then you should. If that's an excuse, you shouldn't be here. He's inexperienced. Well, fucking go get more experience and come back. All right? Those are just excuses. Those are just outs that you give people to make them feel good. You know, you pat somebody in the back, it's going to be okay. No, it's not going to fucking be okay. It's only going to be okay if we fix it and we put an action behind it to make it okay. If that's something you settle for when the person comes out of the meeting and they didn't close a deal, and your response is, it's okay? Could you imagine me telling one of my athletes after they missed a game-winning shot or they got an injury, hey, it's okay, Kobe Bryant? What the fuck is wrong with you? No, it's not okay. Let's figure this out. Why did it happen? Why did it happen? That's when you talk about the mastery of the execution, knowing what the execution is. And in order to master the execution, there's pleasure in the details. People don't want to do the details because it's monotonous. It's monotonous. But there's so much pleasure in the details for these individuals. They know not only their, it's funny, you know, we had a couple people here, I know a lot of people came in from Boston. Listen, you can say whatever you want about Tom Brady, he's a system quarterback, he's this, he's that. Let me tell you, he knows every play of every position, not only on his team, but the opponent's team. So you don't think so? That's pleasure in the details? To sit there and know every single thing that's supposed to go on? Years ago when Peyton Manning played for the Denver and he won that last Super Bowl, he couldn't fucking throw the football from here to across the table over there. Couldn't do it. And I think if you play football, being able to throw it is in a Super Bowl game is a pretty valuable component to be able to do. All right? But you know what he was able to do? He already knew what the defense was, what their play was already when he got out there. So he was able to make every single adjustment already out there because he was able to see. He knew the plays of his team and the other team so well that he was able to read that formation before it was even thrown. So what he couldn't do physically, he was able to take mentally. And that's why I said you guys are the most competitive individuals. You guys are the most competitive individuals out there. Not only, it's not about your physical makeup, it's about being able to know. It's about being able to know more than the other person even knows. When you go in to sit in there into a meeting, it's about being able to tell them what they need and being able to back them up. When they come up and would question, no, we need this, no, this is how it should be, da-da-da, and so forth. Help them make the decision. Help them decide. Don't be unsure. A little glass of water or something. Yeah, I'm gonna just steal this one. I'll take this one. That's all right. So when we talk about this, we talk about a decision. You know, I know you guys we get all these tests about people saying, hey, listen, this person is built this way, this person is built this way, psychologists and all this other stuff. I'm gonna grab your glass of water here and I'll give you a great example. You look at this glass of water. all right? And people they get paid a shitload of money to sit around a table and work this out. Is this glass half full or half empty? Guys? All right? You know what the answer is? Who gives a fuck? All right? Make a decision. Is it half empty or half full? If you like what's in it, put more in it. If you don't like what's in it, pour it out, start all over. But I'm talking about when you go into a meeting, that's the whole concept behind it. All right? People, they have all these questions, they're going back and forth. You guys are in the ability of power. You guys are in the ability of mastering what you have. And when I talk about being able to take control, being able to master what you have, being able to take that situation and turn it into your favor, all right, your strongest individuals take control of almost every situation that's out there. And they do it by, it's the funniest thing, they do it by listening, not by talking. And as soon as you hear somebody say something, that's your avenue in. And if you're listening there, they're going to say something that's going to allow you to change their whole way of thinking, their whole concept. You get in there and everyone talks, everyone likes to chirp. Listen, everything's gone up in this world price-wise. Your shoes cost more, your clothes cost more, your housing costs more, everything. Being able to rent this room costs more. All right. What's the one thing that hasn't gone up since your ancestors? Talk. Talk is cheap. Talk is always going to be cheap. So shut the fuck up. Listen to what they have to say first before you say something. And then when you say something, make sure there's some value behind it. Make sure there's some value behind it. The loudest person in the room is an individual that cannot provide value. They're just trying to be seen. They're just trying to be seen. Very rarely do you see star players, star athletes. They're not the ones waving the fucking towels. It's the role players. It's the one that's trying to get the camera time. It's the one that's trying to get the more followers on Instagram, that's trying to get the more likes on Facebook. Those are the star individuals, the star companies, they go out there and do by producing the end result over and over again. And when you guys are looking for hirers and so forth, what's happened now is social media is really allowed to become, the social media now, Instagram and so forth, who you look on that thing, the fake is now the real. You look at somebody, how many people have you met and you looked at somebody, and I don't know how many of you guys in here are on social media or so forth, but I guarantee there's not a single person you've met that looks exactly like their fucking profile picture. Okay? They spend so much time on that thing where they're trying to fix, the right angle. I sat down when I was in Miami, this was a couple of years ago. There were two young ladies literally sitting down. They spent 45 minutes trying to get the fucking perfect picture of those two. Like, you gotta be kidding me. And that's when I talk about they have nothing to master. They have nothing to master because they're living their life through filters. And the reason I'm bringing this up now, you'll understand this later, and because it's a little exercise I'm gonna put everybody through. You can't live through filters. You gotta be who you are. You gotta be who you are. The staff that you hire, they got to know exactly who they are. They got to know their styles. They got to know their identity. When I worked with, when I made the transition from Michael to Kobe had called Michael and said, hey, listen, my knees are killing me. I'm thinking about hanging it up. And Michael said, listen, before you do it, why don't you talk to my guy Grover. Talk to my guy Grover. No, because Michael wasn't using me at that time. He had already retired. So the conversation went like this. They were going, Kobe said, well, tell me about Grover. He said, Grover really knows his shit. He goes, he really knows his shit. But he is the biggest asshole you will ever meet. Brought a fucking tear to my eye. You know why? Because he didn't call me a asshole. He called me the asshole. All right? So if you're going to be something, all right, don't be a company. Be the fucking company. Okay? Be the something. And if you guys want to try to be the asshole, it's too late. I already own that fucking title. Okay? I already own that title. But I know exactly who I am. I know exactly who I am. I can't deliver a cutthroat speech and fucking put sprinkles on it. I don't do it. I don't do it. That's why I only speak to a select few individuals. I speak to select few groups that are really interested in taking themselves and taking their shit to another level. And if you're not, it's just fucking talk. And this is only going to be talk unless you take the actions and the concepts behind it, if you agree with it. And this message, honestly, isn't for everybody. It should be, but it's not. All right? I'm like that family member that you don't want in your family, but you need in your family. All right? But you asked me to come across and tell you, how do these individuals do it? How do these people do it? How do they get to that next level? This is the mindset that they have. All right. Own your weaknesses, or it will own you. All right. We all have weaknesses. Everybody has them. Everybody has them. All right. But let me explain something. You can't take your game up to the next level until you take yourself up to the next level. And you guys, as leaders of your organizations, as leaders of your teams, all right, you got to continue to elevate your game. You got to continue to elevate yourself. Because if you continue to show improvement, and you continue to say, hey, listen, I'm not going to settle for whatever the norm is, whatever the average is, whatever the numbers that are supposed to be here, it's going to force your team to come up to that level. You can't come down to theirs. You cannot come down to theirs. You have to go up and see who's willing to stay with you. The first thing Michael said to me the first day I worked with him, you better keep up. You better keep up. And he wasn't just talking about in the training concept. He was talking about everything that's about to happen in his life, all the adjustments that was about to go on, the level he was going to take his game and his stardom and all this other stuff. He told that to everybody that ever worked for him. He said, you better keep up. I was there from 1989, 15 years later. I fucking kept up. I kept up. It wasn't an option. It wasn't an option to him. It wasn't an option to me. He might not say it, but I'm going to say it right now. Everybody in this room, you better fucking keep up. You better keep up. Otherwise, I'm going to be sitting in another room and be like, hey, what the fuck happened to him? What happened to him? Gone. All right? Don't let the tan, don't let the nice suit, don't let all that shit fool you. All right? Don't let it fool you. The people that don't look like quote unquote business killers, those are your real killers. Because they're not going to settle for mediocrity. They are not going to settle for mediocrity. And I can tell you right now, and if you disagree with me, please speak up. Okay? Neither one of us, we don't believe in weakness. You know why we don't believe in weakness? Because weakness costs too fucking much. And if you don't believe me, think about the last time where you were mentally weak, personally or business, that it cost you financially, emotionally, or spiritually. Think about that. And that's where we talk about own your weakness. You have to own your weakness, or otherwise it will own you. We all have shortcomings. Every single individual in there has shortcomings, and we know what they are. All right? But once you own up to them, no one else has the power over you then. People aren't willing. Everyone, oh, I got to be perfect. No, you don't have to be perfect. You hire somebody else to do that part of your concept that you're not capable or you're not good at doing. When I first started in the business, I did everything. When I started with Michael, I fucking did his training, I did his massage, I did his physical therapy, I did, you name it, I did it. I did it. Then I said, in order for me to continue as he involved as an athlete, as my business involved, I had to hire people that were better than me in those different areas. It's not that I was total weak in those areas, but no, there were people out there that were better than me in those particular fields. This is where I want you to do this, and I let them do their job. And that's one of my shortcomings, is because I think I could fucking do anything better than anybody out there. But once I owned up to that, said, you know, I have to give this power away a little bit, let these people do this. Now, I held them to the same standards that if I was doing the work. But that's when I talk about you have to own your shortcomings. You have to know what they are. Not everybody in here can do things at the highest level. There are some things that other people just can do, that can just do better than you. And don't be afraid to ask those individuals to do that stuff. Now, they got to deliver it the same way that you would deliver it. But don't be afraid. And that's the hardest thing for every individual in this room to do, is to allow somebody else to do something. Because you know why? You rather have the control, because if you fuck it up, you can fix it. If somebody else fucks it up, it becomes a little bit more difficult. But you've educated that individual, you've trusted that individual, they've been put in those pressure situations enough time where you know they can deliver that end result. And the hardest thing for everybody in this room, because you're so driven, is to be able to let go a little bit. Is to know what that weakness is. Okay? Okay. The one thing you'll find out in your businesses and your sales force and whatever else you deal with in professional sports, the more talented the individuals are, the more cooperative they are, and the more they're willing to help other individuals. It's funny, your high-end individuals, you have the least amount of issues with. It's your low end and your middle ones that cause you more problems than anything else. You have very few problems with your superstars. Teams have very few issues with their superstars. Very few. It's all the mediocre ones that are causing all the problems. It's the same thing with business. You go out with individuals, and you know how you can always find your low-end individuals and your mediocre people. We've all been to a happy hour event, right? We've all gone out to a happy hour. Bad booze, bad food. We've all been there. And what do we do in a happy hour event? These are all your mediocre. What do? They bitch about their work. They bitch about their family life. They're not making enough money. They bitch about their housing. They bitch about everything over there. And they call it fucking happy hour. It's the most miserable fucking people, most miserable people out there. We all know those people, right? Right? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you know those people. All right? And if you aren't putting your hand up, you are that fucking person. All right? All right? Oh. It's the same people when show up to work at 9 o'clock, leave at 5 o'clock. And they want to bitch about why they can't get anywhere. Your greatest individuals. I don't have to tell my star athletes to show up early. I don't have to tell them to stay late. Your more high-driven individuals, you don't have to tell them. They're not the ones that are, oh, you're not surprised to see them at the office early. With social media, and so far, everybody used to talk about it. How come you don't post videos of your athletes working out? You're a fucking athlete. You're supposed to work out. You're supposed to work out. It would have been more of a story if I posted a video of Kobe not working out, not preparing for the game, not preparing for practice. Those are your most talented individuals are the ones you have the least amount of problem with. And your most confident individuals, they're your least defiant too. They're your least defiant. Your individuals that aren't confident, don't have their concepts together, they're the ones, the minute you say something to them, they got to answer right back. Because you know why? They can't tell the difference between feedback and criticism. And it's exactly the same thing. Feedback and criticism is exactly the same thing. It's all how you hear it. It's all how you hear it. Your confident individuals hear it's taking what you say something, they hear it as feedback. I got it. Your less confident individuals, your people that don't produce those results over and over again, they hear it as criticism. Now, this is a very unique concept, and it's kind of a concept that I kind of created. In order to continue to succeed, to see what kind of personality an individual has, to see how they can handle their shortcomings, how they can handle their weaknesses and so forth. And teams do this all the time, right? They put individuals in kind of embarrassing situations. You always see when they have the, in sports, they have the rookie hazing thing where they make them wear backpacks of all these different, different things. They make them wear all these goofy colors, or they may have them do a dance in front of somebody, or they may have them do karaoke. All right. They want to see how that person can handle an embarrassing situation. Because a lot of individuals here, as we get older, we try to avoid everything that can bring us embarrassment. And if you're in the sales industry, every time you talk to somebody, it can turn out to be an embarrassing moment. But if you have that fear of getting embarrassed, and sometimes just a simple thing of being an embarrassing moment could be a simple rejection from a person, from them saying, no, you know what, no, I'm not interested in this. Now a person just walks away. So what teams do, a lot of them, they test these individuals by putting them, hey, listen, we know you can't sing for a damn. We know you can't dance, we can't, but we're going to make you do this in front of this stage and see how you handle it. How you handle it. Because if you're afraid to be embarrassed in the business world, you ain't going to make it. You ain't going to make it. You can't be embarrassed to say, hey, this is the concept that this business is about. This is what we're going to do. We're going to take these office spaces, we're going to totally realign your thinking, all that other stuff. When I talked about being crazy, when people say you're crazy, tell them, yes, I am. Most people that are embarrassed when you tell them that they're crazy, what do? They put their head down. When I went to school and I told individuals I was going to train professional athletes, they said, you got to be fucking crazy. Yeah, you're damn right I'm crazy. Am I going to be embarrassed when I go to an athlete and say, hey, this is what I'm capable of doing? You can't be. Don't be embarrassed by rejection. Don't be embarrassed by putting out a new concept. Know in this business is just the start of a new conversation. That's all it is. It's the start of a new conversation. Just because it didn't happen now doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Excellence is lonely. All right. This is why a lot of people don't want to excel. Because excellence is lonely. And we all know what it takes to excel. We all know it's going to take late nights, early mornings. You're not going to have a whole lot of friends. In case you haven't figured out, I don't have too many fucking friends. All right? Okay? You're going to be misunderstood. They're going to question your sanity. And you got to be your own cheerleader. Too many times you look for validation from others. If this is going to go, it's going to be because of the individuals in this room. It's going to be because of the individual in this room. You got to be your own hype person. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows in order to excel at something, you're going to have to come in and you got to put in late hours. You got to get up early. You got to outwork the competition. You know, I love motivational speakers that come in and they tell you, yeah, you know, you got to want it. You got to do this. This is what you got to do. You know, let's go. Well, where in the fuck are we going? When you walk out of this room, you got to know exactly the direction that you're going in. Let's go is not an answer. Let's go is not an answer. And people come in all the time, you know, and excuse me if this has already happened, but this really irritates. By the way, this was from here. I just kind of I didn't have one, so I kind of stuck it in here. We get motivational speakers that say all the time, you know, you got to have passion. You got to have inner drive. I swear, every time I hear a speaker and I sit there and I'm listening to one and he says, he or she, I got to have passion or inner drive, I literally want to jump across the table and take this pen and stab it in their fucking neck. Okay, you know why? Because we fucking know that already. We know that. Tell me something I don't fucking know. And passion and inner drive means nothing. Everybody in this room has passion. They have inner drive. Probably everybody in this world has passion and inner drive. You know what separates those individuals is the ones that are willing to take action. Otherwise, passion and inner drive is just an emotion. That's all it is. We have emotions all the time. It's the action you put behind that emotion. It's the action you put behind that passion. It's that action you put behind that inner drive that's going to get you where you want to be. What happens when you start seeing a person less? When they start doing more. They're no longer hanging out. You don't see them at the restaurants anymore. You don't see them at certain things because that person is doing more. Excellence is lonely. It also creates a distance. It creates a distance between you and your friends. Sometimes it creates distance between you and your family. It creates distance between you and the competition. When I saw excellence is lonely, that's what happens. It really, really does. When I was in college, everybody used to come up to me and say, hey, man, we never see you at Grove. Come to this party. We never see you at this party. Come to this fraternity thing. We never see you here. We never see you at the clubs. We never see you at this. After 3 years of that shit, you know, a guy came up and he kept saying it. He goes, man, you've been here for 3 years. You never come. You know what I told him? I said, fuck. He goes, we never see you at these parties. We never see you at these events. I finally said to him, you know what? I've never seen you at the fucking bank. Okay? I said, I've never seen you at the bank. What's important to him and what's separated, you know what that individual does? He's a fucking manager of a nightclub. He's still partying. Excellence is lonely. Back even then, I understood that concept. I knew I wasn't going to be a professional basketball player. I was fortunate enough to play college basketball, but I knew I had to take the talents and go in a different direction. So I started developing the concept way back then. It started to separate myself between the individuals, between the friends I have. I don't have a whole lot of friends, I said that, but I got tons of allies. And everybody in this room, you have to be an ally of each other. And you know what an ally is? An ally is an individual that tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Think about all your relationships. You know, people say, what's the first thing they tell you in a relationship? Oh, I want honesty. I want honesty. Then when you're fucking honest with them, they fucking can't stand you. Right? Because they let their feelings get in the way. Well, it's like the concept, you know, honey, do I look good in this? Well, if you got to ask, you already know the answer. Okay? You already know the answer. And you're in a fucked up situation either way. All right? So if you're in a fucked up situation either way, you might as well tell the truth. All right? So, but it's like people ask questions, they already know. You know, do I look fat in this? Yes. Okay, you know. All right, if you got to ask, you already know. All right, boss, did I do a good job? You already know you fucked up. All right. Okay? And one time when they come up to you, anytime when a boss comes up to you, they look at something and they say, it's okay or fine. You know what that means? That means I got to go fucking do it myself. Never settle for okay. Never settle for fine. Don't do it. Pressure is a privilege. All right. Who works out in here? Raise your hand if you work out. All right. Okay. Huge correlation between success in business, success in an individual, and working out. And I'm not talking about, listen, you don't have to go into the gym and spend 8 hours a day in there and do all that stuff. I'm just talking about a nice general routine that you do. But the reason the correlation between pressure and privilege is, how do you make your muscles grow? Resistance and pressure, right? You go in the gym, you want a little bit bigger arms, you want a bigger chest, you add a little bit more weight. There's more pressure, more resistance, all right? Same thing with this fucking thing here. This thing grows and gets better with pressure. Businesses and individuals, you can't get better, you can't get to that next level without pressure. If you've ever had a cut on your arm, cut on your leg or whatever, how do you stop it from bleeding? You put pressure on it, right? Put pressure on it. How in the hell are diamonds made? Pressure. All right. You know what pressure allows you to do? Pressure allows you to do 4 things. Okay. It makes you more talented. It makes you more intelligent. It makes you more competitive. And the last thing that pressure allows you to do, it makes you so much more fucking resilient. And in this business, if you're not resilient, it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry?
Second point after the talented one.
There's talented,
Yeah.
okay, intelligence,
Intelligence.
yes, yeah. After intelligent, all right, you gotta be, it makes you competitive, and then you have to be resilient. There's not a single person in this room that doesn't want to be more talented, that doesn't want to be more intelligent, that doesn't want to be more competitive, that doesn't want to be more resilient. That's what pressure does. We have so many individuals that run from pressure. Don't run from pressure. Run to it. Because you can't be great without it. You can't be great without it. Pressure and pressure situations define who we are and who we're not. But the best thing about pressure situations, it defines what every individual in this room and on your staff of what that person can become. Everybody wants to sit in that first seat. till you sit in that first seat. How many employees do you guys have that would be, I can do a better job than you in that? No, you can't. No, you can't. Because if you could, you would be in this seat. We all love to play armchair quarterback and sit down and watch things and say, oh, I can do that. No, you can't. I work with quite a few NFL quarterbacks. I hear people all the time, oh, he didn't see this play. He didn't see this. Listen, I talked to him. I said, by the time you get the ball in your hands and you get back, I said, how much time do you have to get rid of it? He said, 2.5 seconds at the most. So in 2.5 seconds, they have to be able to survey everything that's going out there and be able to make the right decision. Not only that, with literally 2,000 pounds of human flesh coming at them. That's pressure. And you see some people that can really excel at it, and you others see that people that can't. Don't run from pressure. As this business grows, as it becomes more successful, as each individual in here becomes more successful, as they take their game to the next level, pressure is going to grow. Embrace it. Embrace it. It's what keeps you sharp. Your mind can't grow without it. The only difference between pressure and stress is pressure that you don't want to deal with. If you deal with pressure situations every single day, it'll never turn into stress. And there's certain individuals that thrive under the greatest amount of pressure. You know how they always talk about don't let the pleasure exceed the pleasure? For the top individuals, the pressure is the pleasure. You know, you got a lot of young people in here. If you go back up, if you watch the old YouTube thing when Michael Jordan hit that shot on Craig Elo for to take the Bulls into the playoffs when it was against Cleveland. So Doug Collins is sitting in there. He was a coach at the time, and he draws up this elaborate play. There's like 3 seconds left on the clock. Scotty, you go here. Michael, you go here. You do all this other stuff and all this other stuff. They break out of the huddle. Michael looks at all the players. He said, hey, man, give me the fucking ball and get the hell out the way. That's the play. That's the play. Pressure is a privilege. If we're going to win this game, I'm going to win this game. If we're going to lose this game, I'm going to lose this game. I'll be damned if I put it in anybody else's hands. If this company's going to get to where it wants to be and where it should be and where it can be, it's because of how everybody in this room is going to handle that pressure situation. Don't look at anybody else. When I walk out of this room and this young lady walks out of this room, and I don't know if the videographer works for you guys or not, but that's what it's going to be. In order for this to get to wherever you guys want it to get to, all right, and the numbers that the CEO and each individual here has set up for the company, if those numbers are the same thing that matches the numbers in your head, then this goes back to what I said earlier. You're just interested. Because every individual in here, you should be setting unrealistic goals and expect them to achieve them. That's the difference between interested and obsessed. So the numbers that the company sets for you and your own personal numbers should never be the same. Your numbers should always be higher. Always be higher. This one, I hear this all the time. Well, there is no there is no balance. We hear these individuals all the time. You got to have more balance in your life. How many times you guys heard this, either from another individual or somebody? Oh, honey, you got to have more balance in your life. You got to have this. You're not doing that, or you spend too much time at work. You don't do this. All right, listen. Let me tell you this, all right? You don't find balance. You create balance. And it's different for every individual in here. It's different for every single individual in this thing. And this is another thing I have a hard time with all the speakers out there that go out there and just said, you know, yeah, you have to have more balance. People have made a shitload of money off of this concept. I'll tell you right now, there is no balance. There just isn't. And how do you get, when you try to get closer to balance, what do we try to do? You know, you're not spending enough time at home. You spend too much time at work. You need to spend more time with the kids. You need to find a hobby. So what do we start to do? We start to add more and more stuff. Is it a lot easier to balance 2 or 3 things, or is it a lot easier to try to balance 9 or 10 things? So what do? We try to keep adding and adding stuff. The way you get closer to balance, is not by the daily increase. It's by the daily decrease. You got to get rid of some shit. And there's not a single individual in this room, including myself, that doesn't have a habit or an individual in their life right now that you need to get the fucking rid of. Think about it. There's an employee in your company or something that's going on that shouldn't be there. But it's not the right time. All right? Because you're letting your feelings get in the way. And that individual or that habit or something is keeping you and keeping the company from getting to that next level. You got to put those feelings aside. You got to put those feelings aside. We all have cell phones. We all have cell phones in here. You get your constant updating. Your apps get updated. Your phone gets updated. Your security system gets updated. All this stuff. It gets rebooted. When's the last time you fucking rebooted this thing here? When's the last time you took something out of here and deleted it that you know should have been deleted a long time ago? A long time ago. You delete shit on your phone all the time. You think it may, because you think it goes away. It doesn't go away until you delete it out of here. That's how, when I talk about when you get closer to balance, it's by the decrease. It's not about the increase. Now, just because you delete it out of here doesn't mean that you're not going to think about it. The difference between an athlete or a successful entrepreneur, business person, is they don't forget, but they have the ability not to think about it. So a quarterback throws an interception in a crucial situation, or a soccer player misses that penalty kick, or an athlete misses that game-winning shot. They don't forget about those situations, but they have the ability not to constantly think about those situations. So this here, when you close your deals, not only should you be learning from your losses, you should also be learning from your wins. Learn just as much, maybe more from your wins than you do from your losses. And when we talk about balance in here, you know, if you've seen a scale, if this was a scale, that would be the center. That would be the center thing. All right. I'm assuming every person in this room, everyone wants to have more than a zero life. You want to have more than zero sales. You want to have more than zero happiness. You want to have more than zero success. You want to have more than zero money. What's the number on a perfectly balanced scale? It's a fucking 0. So if you're so busy trying to balance everything out, that's the number you're going to get. You're going to get a fucking 0. It's the fact. We don't want to miss our sons' or daughters' volleyball games, basketball games, baseball, cheerleading competitions. I think everybody in this room has missed at least one. Now, if you were available and you didn't go, you're just a fucking prick, all right? But if you're doing something else and you didn't go, it happens. We don't want to, but it happens. If you're so busy trying to balance those things out all the time, everything you do is going to be a fucking 0. It is. Your personal life is going to be a 0. Your business life is going to be a 0. Something has to give. Something has to give. In the book, we have the traits of the greatest competitors out there. This is what I call the Relentless 13, and I've listed them all as number 1. All right, the reason I listed all of them as number 1 because they can be changed in any order, and when you give out a list, and if you give number 1, number 2, number 3, usually people think when they see something, 1 is the most important, 3 is irrelevant, and number 8 is just doesn't mean anything at all. So I've listed everything as number 1 because they're as equally important. If you have multiple kids, you know, your second kid isn't less important than your first kid. You know, if you've been in multiple marriages, I'm sure, you know, your second wife is probably a little bit more important than your first now. But there are some exceptions to the rule. But I always list everything as number 1 because they're just as important. And these are the traits, I'm telling you, every competitive individual. Now, this isn't about being a nice person. This is about winning. This is about being competitive. The most competitive individuals on the playing field and in business are your nastiest, dirtiest, cutthroat individuals you have ever frickin' met. And they're the same individuals that you can go out and you can have a dinner with and drinks later on and see a total different individual. But when it comes to business, these are the traits. All right? You go harder when everyone else has had enough. You get into the zone and you control the uncontrollable. All right? This one's very important. You know exactly who you are. Every individual in this room, you know, we talked about this earlier, you need to know exactly who you are. And as you become more successful, you know how they say success changes individuals? No, success does not change you. It just magnifies who you really are. That's what success does. It changes the people around you. Successful people, listen, if you were a charitable individual when you had no success, you're going to be more charitable individual when you have success. If you were a prick when you had no money, you're going to be a bigger prick when you have money. Okay? It doesn't change it. It changes the individuals around you. When I talked about this earlier about success is lonely and it creates distance between you and everybody else, what happens is when people say, you know exactly who you are, all right, once you start pulling yourself away from the pack and success changes you, no, it changes the individuals around you because those people can't hang on to you anymore. You've created so much distance from those individuals. How many individuals have you had? You've had some very close friends that have started a business or started something and may have been part of this organization, all right, and you're at a certain level and now they're at a certain level. It's the whole issue I have to deal with professional athletes and the entourage. The entourage, their job is not to let the athlete excel. Because once the athlete excels, they lose their value. You've started creating distance. When you know exactly who you are and you become more successful, and you know what, you start creating distance between those individuals that know what you want, you know what you want, between the individuals that don't. The individuals that don't pursue their own dreams are not going to push you to pursue yours. They're just not. Right? You have a dark side that refuses to be taught to be good. Every individual in this room has a dark side. This ain't about vampires and Star Wars and all that other stuff. This is about what lights your own fire, what's unique to you, what gets things done when nothing else will. It's about the individual that's been raised either in a broken home or by a single parent or no parent, and they handle the situation two ways. One uses it as an excuse for the rest of their life, and you got the other individual that says, watch me. This is what ignites your own fire. Every individual in this room has one. And if you're spending so much time trying to keep it down and trying not to show who you really are, instead of using it to get to what you want. If you think about it, your alter ego is really not your alter ego. It's who you really are. It's who you really are. They can't turn it off. But so many times we're living the person that we're not. You use your superhero concept. You have your Clark Kent, you have Superman. Who the fuck would you rather be? Clark Kent is not Superman is. Superman is not the alter ego. Clark Kent is the alter ego. Superman is who the person is. Know what your dark side is. Use it. Use it. Use it and control it. It'll take this business, it'll take you to heights you've never thought you could achieve. And you can't get there without it. Trust me on this concept. Trust me. This isn't about drugs. This isn't about sex. This isn't about alcohol. This isn't about womanizing. It can be. But it's unique to each individual. It could be a story that happened in your childhood. It could be bullying. It could be a situation that you handled in a certain way. It could be the fuel by somebody telling you that you're never going to amount to shit. It could be the story of when you decide to put this company together and says, you're out of your fucking mind. And your response to that is, watch me. When you leave out of this room, when I leave out of this room, I need one thing to happen from everybody in here. I need everybody in here to have a fuck you moment. Seriously. Everybody in here. I have them on a daily basis, but mine are fuck you, and fuck you. Okay? But what follows that is watch me. Otherwise, it's just talk. When you guys leave this room and you are people that said this can't be done, watch me. Watch what the fuck we're about to do. And you know what they're going to tell you? They're going to tell you to get off your fucking high horse. And you know what you tell them? Come join me on this high horse. This fucking view is pretty good from here. Okay? That's a fuck you moment. All right? That's your dark side. You're not intimidated by pressure. You thrive on it. We already talked about this already. All right? When everyone hits the in case of emergency button, they're all looking at you. All right? That's that individual that says, I got this. I got this. And you're going to have it in case of emergency button. You probably already had those in your company already, and you're going to have numerous more. You're going to have know who those individuals are. Know who those individuals are. Make sure you identify them. You don't compete with anyone. You find your opponent's weakness and you attack. You compete against yourself. Who's your competition? You are your competition. Because your standards are much higher than everybody else's. You make decisions, not suggestions. So many people in here love to make suggestions all the time. You know why they don't want to make a decision? Because now you got to answer the hard questions. If you make a suggestion, you got your way out. It was just a suggestion. It's the same thing between interested and obsessed. Make a decision. Make a decision. All right? You don't have to love the work, but you crave the end result. There's not a single individual in here that loves 100% of what they do in this job. There isn't. There's something you're just not going to love. But you crave that end result so much that the work becomes irrelevant. You think my guys liked it when I showed up at 5 o'clock in the morning to put them through a workout, get them their treatment, do all that other stuff? They'd rather be sleeping, of course. Think we want to be sitting in a meeting here with fucking snow outside? We'd rather be out on the golf course somewhere. But those are different things that, you know what, you don't love everything about your work, but you crave that end result, and you continue to do this stuff over and over again because that end result is all that matters. It's all that matters. 2 years ago, when Bill Belichick won when they won the Super Bowl, 90 minutes after the interview, after they won the Super Bowl, a reporter came up to him and said, "Hey, you know what?" He goes, tell us about this victory." He goes, "That was 90 minutes ago." He goes, "I'm 5 weeks behind next season. I'm 5 weeks behind next season." Because the other teams have already brought their draft picks in, they're doing all their preparation, they've done all their scouting, and so forth. It's about craving that end result so much. All right? You'd rather be feared than liked. People worry too much about, in business, you worry too much about being liked. This isn't about how many fucking Facebook friends you can get. This is about being feared, knowing you have a product and you have individuals on your staff and you have management team that is so freaking strong that your competition, if there is any competition out there, should be so nervous when you make a presentation or they know they have to compete against you to try to get a contract. They should be fucking shaking. They should walk in there just like you walk into the room and say, "I own this fucking room." They should be walking into the room and saying, "Yeah, you know what? They do own this fucking room." That's the difference between being feared and being liked. Okay? You trust very few people, and they better not let you down. This is against friends and allies. You trust your allies. Your friends, right? We all have a best friend in here, okay? If your best friend is too friendly, he or she should not be your best friend. It goes back to the situation about everything's going to be okay. It's all good. You don't recognize failure. There's more than one way to get what you want. Remember what I said. No in this business is just the start of a new conversation. You've already done so many office spaces and so many things. The numbers that you show, hey, show the productivity that's changed. Hey, look, we did this office space. Look what happened there. They went from this to this, this to this, this to this. All right. Show those stats. That's when somebody says, hey, you didn't get that contract. This is what we did for them. You sure you want to walk away with this? Let your results do the talking. Let your results do the talking. You don't celebrate your achievements. You always want more. You enjoy your achievements. I'm not telling you to enjoy them, but a celebration. We have individuals that celebrate every fucking week. What are they? I'm celebrating a weekend. Everybody's looking for a Friday, looking for hump day. And what the hell you got to celebrate? What the hell can you possibly be celebrating I have people that have won championships 12 years ago that are still fucking celebrating. Enjoy your achievements. Enjoy them. But there's a huge difference between enjoying something and constantly celebrating it all the time. There's always more to do. There's always more to do. Last slide here. Everyone tells you hear this all the time. This is another thing about motivational speakers. And I don't consider myself a motivational speaker. All right? I'm more, like I said, hit you in the balls, put my foot up your ass, kind of that kind of thing. Greatness, okay, is earned. It's the bottom line. You're not born with greatness, it's earned. All right? And you have to pay for it. It's like rent. You got to pay for it every single day. And when you stop paying for greatness, it goes away. And this is where society is kind of changed so much from when I was a kid to nowadays, where you get rewarded for participating. You have kids in here, right? So I'm assuming some few of you have kids. You know, now, you know, you go to a sporting event, they make you sign stuff that you can only say positive things. Or they go to a summer camp and everyone gets a trophy for participating. My daughter was in the 3rd grade and she came home, she came running, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. She brought me this trophy. And I looked at the trophy, it said 16th place. 16th place, and I'm thinking about it. There was only 11 teams. How the hell we get a 16th place? It was a trophy for participating. You got to be fucking kidding me. So you're telling people it's okay just to show up. Just show up. And then you got parents whose kids don't show up and they go to the camp counselor and bitch because they didn't get a trophy. If you get 30 individuals that apply for a job that want to be part of this organization, are all 30 going to get the job? No. If there's one position, one person is going to get the job. People don't know how to deal with adversity. When I talk about resilience, if you're constantly being awarded and being recognized and being told you're great, you're already great. No, it doesn't work that way. Results still matter. Results still matter. I guarantee nobody in this room is going to call somebody into their office and say, listen, your passion and inner drive is unbelievable. All right? You have greatness inside of you. Your results fucking suck. I'm going to give you a raise. Okay? He'll be on his fucking plane saying, what the fuck you doing? All right? Results matter. Results matter. Now, the one thing you are born with is an edge. Everybody has an edge. All right? Some use it, some don't. What does an edge usually come with? It comes with a degree of sharpness. And having that edge and having that sharpness means you're going to have to cut ties with some things. You're going to have to cut some things that aren't good in your life. There's going to have to cut some things from work. You're going to have to cut some things personally, businessly. But that's what that edge is. And at an edge, the more you cut with it, the sharper it gets. You use a blade, you don't use a blade for a long time, it gets dull. If you have that edge, you continue to use the edge, it stays sharp. It stays sharp. Now, when you were brought into this company, all right, we all had what's known as, and this is going to be this is very important. I want to leave you guys with this, all right. You were all hired and brought up to this level is because someone saw that you had that quote-unquote it factor. Now, let me tell you something about an it factor. The it factor has a frickin' expiration date. Everybody in this room, we have an expiration date. All right? And that word, it, is going to be very important in order for you guys to get to wherever you want to be. Because it's not that you can't. It is if you will. It's not that you can't. It's if you will. That's what's going to determine the success of this company. You all have the it factor. It has an expiration date. It's not that you can't. It's whether you will. If you don't remember anything I've said for the last, I don't know how long I've been talking, don't forget that last part. Don't forget that last part. Thank you, everybody. Leave it up to, I don't know how much time you have.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Thank you.
Excellent points, guys. What do you reckon? Killer stuff. Brilliant.
All right.
Fucking awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just like, listen, I told you, I don't, we sit in rooms where we don't have any cameras. We just go at it. And this is what happens. If you guys really want to know when we deal with organizations, what really goes behind the closed doors, these are the talks that the coaches are sitting with and they're talking about, not the stuff you see in front of the media. That's stuff they're trained to say. This is stuff that actually gets businesses going in whatever directions and individuals going in different things. Because you know why? A lot of this stuff, it makes you really look at yourself. It really makes you look at yourself. And we have a lot of groups. You know, you spend so much time taking care of everybody else, doing this for this person, doing this for that person. You forget to take yourself to the next level. You know, everyone always says it's selfish to take care of you. Well, how in the hell are you going to take care of anybody else? How in the hell are you going to take care of your kids? How in the hell are you going to take care of this business? How else are you going to be able to provide more if you don't take care of yourself? And when you elevate your game, it allows you to elevate everybody else's game. It allows you to do more for those other individuals. Don't forget about you. Don't forget about you. You know, as long as that you is the style and eventually turns into the identity of this company. You guys have a chance to do something. I did my little research on this thing. It ain't going to be easy. And you've already known up to this point it hasn't been easy. But there's nobody in this room that would want it any other way. You guys need the challenge. You guys need the challenge. Winning those championships over and over again, it's not supposed to be easy. Taking this company to where you guys want to take it to, it's not supposed to be easy. If it was easy, you guys wouldn't do it. And then you'd be looking at it, what the hell is wrong? It's like the individual, you know, when your phone is ringing all the time, you're like, things are good. When the phone isn't ringing, damn, is the cell phone service down? What's going on? You know, it's like, that's what stimulates you guys. That's what gives you that edge. That's what keeps you sharpened all the time. Don't change. Because once you lose it, it's so hard to fucking get. It's so hard to get back. Questions, comments, concerns? Yes, sir.
I would say watch us.
I'm going to be watching. Good. Yeah. Good. You know, the thing we had, listen, I know everybody had a hard time getting here, you know, yesterday. So we were booked on a 12 o'clock flight from here to Newark. 5-hour delay, they canceled the flight. Then they booked us on a flight 2 hours, an hour later and 2 hours later, going into LaGuardia. Both got canceled. Last option, fly into Philly. So we flew into Philly, drove 3 hours to get here. That's how important it was for me to give this speech to you guys. I could have easily said, fuck it.
Did you have super simple final things you'd say to Jordan as he ran onto the field? Did you have any sort of very, very simple, once you'd done all that training, all that background work,
I'm sorry, say that again.
So once you've done all the training, all the background work, he's running onto the field, did you then boil it down to something really simple? Do you have any last minutes or rules on the field, or should leave it to him, or?
No, you know what? If you're so well prepared, there's nothing else to really think about. I don't give them anything else at the last minute. I mean, one of the things I had, one of the games, Michael said, he goes, hey, listen, he goes, I got butterflies in my stomach. I just said, well, make sure they're all going in the same fucking direction. That's all. So, all right, and we all get nervous. We all get this. Just you control the situation. Don't let the situation control you. A lot of the plays I watch stuff that nobody else watches. Last year's football playoff game with the Patriots before they had the Super Bowl. He had that cut on his hand, and he's running out of the field. And there's a reporter standing in the tunnel, trying to get him to make a comment. Right, this is like literally right before the game. All right, and you can pull this up. And Tom Brady goes, man, fuck you, get out of my way. I got a game to play. I'm so focused in on what I have to do, but the preparation has already happened before. There's nothing you can tell these elite individuals that they haven't already prepared for way back when, that they need a pep talk 30 minutes or right before they get onto the field. Those are the individuals that aren't prepared. Those are individuals that aren't prepared. It's just like when we were kids, when we took tests. All right, you prepared for the test, you walk into school, you sat down with the teacher, you took the test, it was done and over with. You weren't prepared. Oh, fuck, I hope there's a substitute teacher. I hope we have a snow day. I hope the fire alarm goes off. It's all mental. It's all mental. This isn't about this isn't about the success of this company. Your health is going to determine by your physical, but the success of this company is going to be determined by how your mental makeup is going to be, how you're going to handle everything that's going to come at you, the good and the bad. As you become more successful, what's going to happen? You're going to have a tendency to become a little soft. You're going to have a tendency to become a little relaxed. It's human nature.
Could you say some more about your point? You see things that others don't see? Because I think that applies to us. That's how we.
100%.
If we don't continue to see things that others don't see, we're just going to plateau off, and then we're going to drop.
That's why I said everybody in this room is a little fucking off. You have to be. That's the definition of crazy. You look at, I like to use Amazon because everybody knows the success of Amazon. All right. Here you guys, this guy's sitting in the garage. He started out doing books, and then afterwards, he says, you know what? I'm going to sit around here. I'm going to deliver packages to anybody in 2 weeks. So he started to see something that nobody else, and everybody around him is saying, you're fucking crazy. Then he said, you know what? I'm going to deliver packages in 2 days. Seeing things that other people can't see. Then he came in and said, I'm going to deliver packages in an hour. With these little fucking things that are going to be flying around the sky, they're going to be dropping stuff off. Ability to see things that other people can't see. What's the difference when they call you crazy or they call you insane? Crazy, you get the end result. You prove that result over and over again. Insane is you do something and you don't get that end result. You've gotten the end result, but you want more of the end result. At some point, what you guys don't see and not willing to take action on what you don't see, somebody else will. Somebody else will. You guys have you have the ability already to see things that nobody else can. Don't lose that. Don't lose that. That's one of the things that sharpens your edge.
How did you keep the hunger with, Michael Jordan obviously had that personality, just kept that hunger right through,
You always, listen,
always hungry.
listen, here's the difference. In the book, we talk about closers, coolers, closers, and cleaners. Those are the three different people, three different categories I put people in. Coolers are the individuals. The results are always average. All right. Closers are the are ones that can get you that end result majority of the time, as long as a lot of variables aren't thrown at them. Cleaners are those individuals that get you that end result over and over again, no matter what's thrown at them. Hey. A closer is an individual, and you talk about hunger, they eat and they're full. A cleaner eats, and an hour later he's hungry again. He or she's hungry again. It's that ability of always wanting more. Not about celebrating. It's always wanting, it's always what's next. It's always wanting more. If I close this deal. Look, you can sit the individuals in here. I can tell, Michael can't tell you, and Kobe can't tell you, all right, and your individuals in here, you can't tell you every single deal you closed. But you can, I guarantee you remember every single fucking deal you did close. I guarantee Michael could sit here and I could text him right now and he can tell me, he can literally give me the list of every game-winning shot he missed. Same thing with Kobe. That's the difference between constantly staying hungry. After every basketball game, you know, there's a stat sheet. There's a stat sheet, and I'll give this point. I'm glad you brought this up. On the stat sheet, it has, you know, how many points, rebounds, all this other stuff. Michael said, never show me that stat sheet. So we had a special one made for him. How many turnovers he had? How many fouls he committed? And how many free throws he missed. All right. I'm supposed to score baskets. I'm supposed to get rebounds. I'm supposed to get assists. I'm not supposed to turn the ball over. I'm not supposed to commit stupid fouls. I'm not supposed to miss free throws. That's the definition of staying hungry.
Spoke about the more talented, more cooperative.
More talented, more cooperative. It's funny, when you're more talented, it's people think they're the most defiant. Your most talented individuals are the ones that are willing to help everybody out, share your secrets. This is what it takes to get to that edge. You know why? Because it forces them to raise their game. Michael would take every single play. He was like, I don't have any secrets. Hey, you want to work on this? This is how I do this move. This is what I do. Here it is. Because you know what? Next year I got something else for you. I got something else for you. They're always looking for help. I sent out, how I got to Michael was I sent out, there's 15 players on a basketball team. I wrote 14 letters. This was when you actually had to write letters. This was before the email days and everything. Put a stamp on it. Put them in the thing. I sent out 14 letters to the Bulls players. The one person I did not send a letter to was Michael. He's already the best player. Why in the hell does he need any help? I got one phone call back from him. Most talented, most cooperative. I never had to tell him, listen, man, you need to work out. We need to do this treatment. We need to go get extra shots up. Literally after every single game, I'd ask him one question. Or sometimes I wouldn't even ask him a question. You know, it would be this, this, or this. Meaning working out. We working out at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., or 7. And he'd shoot something back at me. And when I was getting it, I didn't have to get him out of bed. Didn't have to push him. Ready to go. Your most talented individuals are your most cooperative. They're the ones that give you the less grief. They're the ones that are willing to listen to you. They're the ones that are the most coachable. That's why they get to that level. They're the ones that stay after practice, go early. They're not afraid to be embarrassed. They're the ones that are not afraid to ask questions. but they don't ask the same questions over and over again. They ask a question, you give them the answer, they figure it out. All good? Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Another round of applause.
So,
You want to sign the books or?
you want me to sign the books? I'll be more than happy to. All right?
Great.
Thank you.